Dear colleagues, welcome to today's presentation about the flexibility and extensibility of Business by Design. I decided to record this demonstration for you because I pretty often get the question about how flexible is Business by Design and is it possible to extend its capability to the unique requirements of my company. Therefore, I put together this presentation and the demonstrations which you will see here. Everything that you will see also applies to all other solutions which are built on the Business by Design platform, like Sales on Demand and Travel on Demand. If we now look at the capabilities, then this basically reflects SAP's 40 years of experience working with companies and adjusting software solutions to their specific needs. Everything that you see here from the left, business configuration, to the right, building composite applications, are things that are required in the real world, and therefore we need to take care of them. When we now look at Business by Design and its platform capabilities, a specific aspect was of key importance to us, and that was that we wanted to do as many of these adaptations without a single line of programming. We simply said we want to be able to do 80% of all customer specifics, was what we describe as last mile adaptations, without programming. So everything that you see here on the right, from business configuration, personalization, UI adaptation, individual terminology, and so on, right up to here, can be done without a single line of programming. When it comes to extending existing business objects, building a third-party integration, building mashups or alternative user interfaces, then it is useful to have the Business by Design software development kit available, with which you can then build everything from the very left to the very right. So that much for the PowerPoint. Let's look into the system and see what we can do here. As a first part of this demo, I would like to show you the simple things that every employee probably wants to have, and that starts with how can I personalize the user interface. I'm logged on here to a standard Business by Design system, and I always have the capability to personalize my environment. And I can start this with this screen here. For example, what I see now is the typical layout that SAP has chosen, and I have even more tiles available to me which I could activate, or I could also deactivate them. Let's assume that the user is pretty happy with the tiles that you are providing, but you want to change the layout. For example, you could say here, this kind of layout with the two tiles right next to each other is maybe not the right thing. Good. Then you can simply change the layout here and, for example, change the home quick links and the my top work list to full-size tiles. If you have done that, you can also move the content up and down to different locations if you want to do that. This is just to give you an idea what you can do here. You can also add certain groups to it. You can add mashups here on this page if you want to, so you have full transparency and flexibility about what happens. When you're done, you can save these changes and you can close the personalization pane, and the system reloads the UI model and now comes up with the new representation as we've defined it here, with the two quick links and top work lists in separate tiles. So that much for the simplest way how I can adapt a user interface. A second thing that companies probably want to use is a company-specific branding. So therefore SAP delivers the standard look and feel of Business by Design, but you can also use any other background image that you want to use. I've prepared a few of them here. So for example, if we want to have maybe a more natural background image here, then we could use this one. And as you can see, the background will change accordingly Let's reset that for the moment because I want to change here another one. And if you want to go for really company-specific branding, then we've built here one for Coca-Cola, and you could also have that in the background and use it then there accordingly. Good. For the sake of the demo, I switch back to the standard layout that we are using here, because that is what I wanted to show you as a quick introduction, how I can adjust the user interface here. The second thing that companies typically ask themselves is, well, this is all great. I've now personalized my user interface. How can I change the documentation and how can I change the learning material? Also, this is very straightforward in Business by Design because we had this use case specifically in mind. The way how you do it is, if you have key user authorization, then under you can add now company-specific help. You can either overlay the existing help text which are available, or you can enter completely new things. And you can decide whether this information should only appear on this page, so in the context of this screen here, or whether it is of such a general nature that you want to make it available in all the screens. So if we say now we want to publish something which is very important and which you want to have on all of the screen, maybe certain information about security regulations or whatsoever, then the easiest way to do it is to simply say you either upload a file with the information or you add a link. And here in our example, I simply want to add the SAP homepage. If it would be learning content, then it would make sense to add here now how many minutes it takes, but I don't need that. So I can say that's it. So I've stored this information here. I can save and close it. I could do that now for the different languages if I would want to, but for the sake of this little presentation, this is sufficient. I close the Help Center, therefore I enforce the refresh, and here I now have the SAP homepage and I could navigate to that one. So this is the easy way how I can add learning content, how I can add help content to the company. So I not only can adjust the user interface, but also all of the content that comes with Business by Design. Now let's talk for a second about additional content that is available and that will help you, especially in the area of the flexibility when we talk now about business configuration. If we've adjusted the user interface, then the next step obviously is to say, well, what else can I do to adjust the system to my specific requirements? And then we talk about the business processes. The way how you familiarize yourself in the best way with the processes that are available is to simply go into the Business by Design library. And this is now the typical step that every consultant performs with his customers, talking about what can ByDesign do for the company. The best way to find that out is to look into the business scenarios. The business scenarios are the end-to-end business processes, currently 35, that SAP offers to its customers. So for example, if we browse here into the order to cash scenarios, then we can say we are specifically interested in the sell from stock process. And I can open this one. On purpose, we picked here a low-tech solution, as I would describe it, because we've chosen now PowerPoint to visualize the business processes. So you can page now through this document and can see how does the process actually look like. And if you're interested in how do I actually create a sales order, well, you have the information here, how you create it, whether the approval step is necessary. You have the information about what the scenario is all about, in which business area the whole thing happens, what is the business value, and what is the scenario flow. And this is now the point where most companies say, this is great, I like it because it's a It's a semi-technical visualization, but it is good for business people to understand. But mostly they now want to add something to these documents and say, I want to edit it. And this is now precisely the point where you simply go into this PowerPoint, you make a company-specific variant of it, and you save that one back into the SAP Business ByDesign system, and then have a company-specific variant of the documentation. Good, that's what I quickly wanted to show you on how you can work with the documentation. And as we've already seen now, that we can pick from a wide variety of processes, let's have a look how we can do this actually in the system. The way how we do it is through the Business Configuration Work Center. The Business Configuration Work Center provides you access to all of the settings which influence how the processes are actually concatenated with each other. In addition, the business configuration is a full-blown implementation methodology. So the system guides you through the steps which are required through an implementation. You can do implementations in projects. You can have multiple projects running at the same time. Here in this system I only have one, which is called first implementation. And you can see that from the 5 stages that I need to go through, the prepare phase, fine-tune phase, integrate and extend, test and go live, I'm in the middle of the implementation. I can see that I've passed certain milestones here successfully. If I now want to go back into the implementation and change the project scope, this is easy, and I can do that at any point in time. I go into this dialog here and the system shows me the flow. I can first select now the country and type of business, then the implementation focus, and so on and so on. If you now, for example, want to add additional countries to your Business ByDesign system, for example, you want to add China because you're opening a subsidiary there, well, then you just pick the country, move it to the right side, and with this, all of the China-specific requirements are now available. From the Chinese language support to specific golden tax calculation and many other things. You can do the same thing here on the right side with the types of business that you want to use, but as this is not the complete demo about business configuration, I don't want to spend too much time here. I just want to show you one more thing. And here we looked at many car configuration or heavy machinery configurators to build the configuration in Business ByDesign and make it an as non-technical experience as possible. So what you have here on the left-hand side is a catalog of all of the business capabilities that you've just seen in the business library. And the way how you work here is that you can now drill into these capabilities. Let's say for the moment you're in the middle of the implementation and you've decided that at this point in time campaign management is not necessary for you. Well, then you can just switch it off. And maybe you also don't want to do market development, and with these 2 clicks you've taken out all of the marketing capabilities, which means the work centers vanish, the reports vanish, and you don't need to worry about any of the settings here. If 3 months later you're live and the system is running great and you now want to do campaign management, well, at any point in time you can go back here and say, I would like to do campaign management. The interesting part is now, if you've watched it carefully, the system automatically activated up here the market development and market information capabilities, because that is a required prerequisite. And it also recommends to you to do campaign execution, and it is now your decision whether you also want to do lead generation. If we activate that one too, then we have the full capability activated here, and it is consistent in itself. So the old days where you manually configure now individual tables and you have to have in mind which tables you have already activated, which ones not, these days are over. This engine, the business configuration engine, helps you to do this.